In the far north, where summer days stretch endlessly and winter cloaks the world in shadow, there is a silence that speaks. The wind weaves ancient songs through pine and stone, carrying secrets older than memory. Beneath the roots of the mountains, beneath the weight of centuries, something stirs. Not gods, though they move like them. Not men, though they watch us closely. They are the Underjordiske, the hidden folk. Ethereal, elusive. They dwell beneath mounds, inside forgotten hills, and in the hollow places of the earth. Always near, rarely seen. Their footsteps make no sound. Their eyes, if you ever meet them, shine with the glint of starlight and secrets. Some say they are protectors. Others call them tricksters, even thieves of time. But one truth remains: they have never left. This is the story of those who live in the in-between, between myth and memory, between this world and the next. The hidden folk are calling. Can you hear the whisper beneath the earth?
Long before the echo of church bells rang through the fjords, before the cross supplanted the hammer, the people of the North believed in a world alive with unseen beings. Every river, every tree, every boulder was inhabited. Not just objects, but vessels for something older, deeper. A spiritual force that breathed beneath the surface of all things. Among these spirits were the Veatir, the Landwights, the guardians of nature. But unlike fleeting ghosts or restless souls, the Veatir endured. And among them, mysterious and powerful, were the Underjordiske, the hidden folk. The hidden folk were never seen as demons, nor divine angels. They occupied a liminal space, between good and evil, between the human and the divine. Some believe they were born of the first breath of the earth, ancient as the stone and soil. Others told of a darker origin, that when Eve bore many children, God asked to see them all. Ashamed of those not yet washed and presentable, she hid some from his gaze. And so, God declared, "What has been hidden from me shall remain hidden forever." Thus, the hidden folk were born, forever out of sight, but never out of mind. Another legend speaks of them as echoes of the old gods, Aesir and Vanir, whose power faded with the rise of mankind. No longer worshipped, they withdrew beneath the earth, their glory dimmed, but not extinguished. Whatever their origin, the belief remained the same. The Underjordiske were real, not symbols, not metaphors. Real beings who dwelled beside humans, unseen but ever present. To ignore them was foolish. To anger them, dangerous. They were sacred, they were feared, and in the minds of the Norse people, they were as much a part of the world as thunder, fire, and stone. The world of the hidden folk is not above or below. It is beside ours. A realm parallel, unseen, and untouched by time. It lies beneath grassy knolls, inside craggy mountain faces, and within ancient stone formations that the Nordic landscape. What looks like a simple hill to us may be the gilded palace of an elf queen. These places are known in folklore as elf mounds or Halderhogin, sacred spaces glowing with invisible life. To disturb them is to cross a boundary not meant to be broken. Within these hidden realms, the hidden folk live lives not unlike our own, only more radiant, more perfect. They tend livestock of otherworldly beauty, herd silver-haired animals, weave garments from moonlight, and feast under glowing trees. Their homes are said to shimmer like glass, built from crystal and gold, far grander than any human hall. Music drifts through their world, ethereal and haunting, songs without language, melodies that can enchant or ensnare. Time flows differently in their domain. A single evening among the hidden folk might last 100 years in the world of men. Those who return often find their families long dead, their homes gone, and their names forgotten. A shimmer in the air, a flicker in the forest, a sudden stillness in the wind. These are signs that their realm is near. Travelers who wander too far off the path may find themselves stepping across worlds without knowing. A ring of mushrooms, a sudden fog, a strange light in the distance. These are not accidents. They are invitations or traps. And those who enter uninvited rarely fare well. Some are cursed with bad luck, others fall ill with no cure, and some simply vanish, their names whispered only in warnings passed from generation to generation. For the hidden folk guard their world fiercely, not out of cruelty, but because balance must be kept. Their realm is one of harmony, secrecy, and ancient power, never meant for human eyes. The hidden folk are stunning to behold. Descriptions in old tales speak of skin that gleams like moonlight on snow, hair spun from starlight, and eyes that hold the depth of ancient oceans. They move like mist, speak like song, and carry with them an aura of wonder that mesmerizes both humans and animals alike. But behind their ethereal beauty lies something older, something far more dangerous. Their elegance is not merely for show. It is a mask over vast, unpredictable power. They are not bound by human notions of good or evil. They are bound by balance, harmony with nature, respect for the unseen. To those who honor them, the hidden folk are generous protectors. Farmers who left bowls of milk on stone altars at the edge of their fields often found their livestock healthy and their harvests abundant. Travelers who whispered greetings to the wind and trees might feel a strange warmth guiding them safely through wild terrain. In return for respect, they offer peace. But those who break the unspoken rules invite their wrath. Build a house atop an ancient mound. Chop down a tree whose roots run deep into their domain. Speak ill of them aloud on the wind, and they will respond, swiftly and without mercy. Tools break, fields rot. A child, left alone for only a moment, disappears without a trace, sometimes returned, changed, sometimes never returned at all. Music, once soothing, turns strange and hollow, echoing through the forest at midnight. Doors rattle. Dreams become heavy. Illness creeps in, called elf shot, sudden and incurable. Yet their vengeance is never random. It is deliberate, measured. A reminder that they are not to be dismissed as fairy tales or forest shadows. To live in peace with the hidden folk is simple but sacred. Respect the old places, speak kindly to the wind, offer gifts, even if unseen hands take them. Know that you are not alone on the land. For in their beauty is power, and in their power, a warning. This world was never just ours. In the ancient North, belief in the hidden folk wasn't confined to myth or story. It was lived, every day, in every home, from the cradle to the grave. The line between the seen and the unseen wasn't blurred. It simply didn't exist. The Underjordiske were always near. And so, people adapted, not with fear, but with deep-rooted respect. Rituals were woven into the rhythm of daily life. At dawn or dusk, farmers poured fresh milk into the earth near old stones or tree stumps, an offering for the hidden folk who might be watching. Piece of flatbread or cheese was left on the windowsill or threshold, not to feed a beggar, but to nourish a presence. Children were taught early, never throw rocks at the big boulder on the edge of the field. It could be an elf stone. Never shout or curse near the woods at night. You never know who is listening. Stones believed to be elf dwellings, marked by their solitary, rounded shapes and soft moss coverings, were never moved, not even for farming or building. Farmers would plow around them rather than risk insult. And no wise soul would ever build a home without first consulting local lore. Was this land touched? Was this hill sacred? To ignore such questions was to invite ruin. Thursdays were considered sacred to the spirits, especially the Vetur. Plowing, hammering, or noisy labor was paused, not out of laziness, but reverence. Hills and forests were avoided after sunset, when the boundary between the human world and the hidden realm grew thin. Lamps were kept burning, and prayers, quiet ones, were whispered. Births, deaths, and even weddings were believed to stir the attention of the hidden folk. Midwives might leave tokens of thanks in the woods. A new bride might be advised to wear iron on her belt to ward off elf mischief. Newborns were watched closely, especially if they were unusually quiet or strangely beautiful, for fear they might be changeling children left by the hidden folk. These traditions were not mere superstition, they were survival. A way of coexisting with powerful neighbors who could not be seen, but were never absent. It was understood. To live peacefully on the land, one must share it, with gratitude, humility, and care. And so, in every quiet offering, every avoided stone, every story whispered by firelight, the people of the North honored their unseen companions. They did not merely believe in the hidden folk. They lived with them. The veil between our world and theirs is thin, and there have always been moments, fleeting, mysterious, unforgettable, when the two collide. These stories, passed from elder to child, from firelight to hearth, are not just myths. They are memories, warnings, echoes of a time when everyone knew the hidden folk were close. One tale speaks of a young man named Eirik. While walking alone at dusk, he heard haunting music drifting through the birch trees. He followed the sound, drawn like a moth to a flame, until he stumbled upon a ring of dancers, beautiful, radiant figures spinning under the moonlight. Entranced, he stepped inside, and in a blink, the world changed. What felt like a single night of dancing was, in truth, many years. When Eirik returned to his village, nothing remained. His home was gone, his family long buried, and no one remembered his name. Another story tells of a midwife who was awakened in the dead of night by a knock at her door. A silent stranger handed her a cloak and gestured for her to follow. She was led across fields, through fog, and into a hill that seemed to open like a doorway of light. Inside, she found a woman in labor, radiant, silent, and not quite human. The midwife delivered the child, was paid in gold, and led home again. But when she looked back, the hill had vanished. She kept the coin, but never spoke of what she saw without trembling. Then there's the tale of a farmer, bold, brash, and skeptical. He mocked the old ways, scoffing at traditions meant to honor the hidden folk. He tore down elf stones to expand his field and laughed at those who warned him. That year, his cows grew sick. His crops failed. By winter, he was destitute. And one night, he vanished, leaving only his boots at the edge of the stone he had once uprooted. These are not isolated stories. They repeat, across generations, across regions, dancers lost in time. Lights in the forest that lead you astray. Music with no source. Illness with no cure. Children who return with strange eyes. Or not at all. Each story shares a theme. Cross the boundary without respect, and you may never come back the same. For the world of the hidden folk is not just beside ours. It intertwines with it. And when the two worlds touch, the rules change. These tales are more than folklore. They are reminders that the old beliefs were born from something very real, that the land remembers, and that respect for the unseen was not superstition. It was survival. The old world of the North was once alive with spirit. Every stone, every stream, every gust of wind had a voice. But change came swiftly, and with fire. Christianity spread across Scandinavia not as a whisper, but a wave. Missionaries and kings, crosses and swords, brought with them a new order, one God, one truth, and no place for the old beings of the land. The hidden folk, once revered as Vaedir, protectors, nature spirits, ancestral presences, were recast in sermons as devils, demons, or dangerous illusions. Sacred mounds were renamed witch hills. Offerings were branded as pagan blasphemy, and those who spoke of elves or forest spirits were warned to stay silent, or risk eternal damnation. But belief does not vanish so easily. The people adapted. The hidden folk didn't disappear, they changed. They were no longer gods of the land, but something smaller, more mysterious, beings that dwelled in shadows, just out of reach. Stories continued, only now told in hushed tones, behind closed doors. Christian lore and old folk belief began to blur. Some said the hidden folk were the unbaptized children of Eve, hidden from God's sight and cursed to remain unseen forever. Others claimed they were angels who had fallen, not to hell, but to earth, neither damned nor divine, just exiled. Even as churches were built atop sacred groves, even as priests cast holy water on ancient stones, the land resisted. Cows refused to graze near disturbed elf mounds. Tools broke where plows dug too close. People still left bread at the doorstep, just in case. And those centuries passed, the memory remained, not as dogma, but as instinct. Even today, the tension lingers. In Iceland, a land shaped by lava and legend, entire roads have been rerouted to avoid elf dwellings. Construction projects are halted for consultations with elf communicators. Surveys are taken to ask, "Do you believe in elves?" Many say no, but just as many add, "But I wouldn't want to risk offending them." The church may have tried to bury them, but the hidden folk are not so easily forgotten. They live on, in stones that won't be moved, in songs that won't be silenced, in stories that refuse to die. Because deep down, the people of the North remember. The world is still filled with unseen watchers, and respect is still everything. In an age of satellites and smartphones, of science and skyscrapers, one might expect the hidden folk to have vanished, forgotten relics of a mythic past. But listen closely, and you'll find they're still here. Not loudly, not visibly, but quietly, respectfully, like a breeze through pine needles or a shadow at the edge of a trail. In Iceland, nearly half the population admits, often with a smile, that they believe in the hidden folk. Or, at the very least, they won't deny them, just in case. Roads are still rerouted to avoid suspected elf mounds. Construction projects are paused until elf communicators can determine if it's safe to proceed. Hills believed to house the hidden folk are protected, not by law, but by respect, not out of fear, but out of reverence for something deeper than what the eye can see. In Norway, Sweden, Denmark, even across the Faroes and Greenland, stories of the Underjordiske remain etched in the landscape and memory. They live in children's books, whispered traditions, and annual festivals where songs are sung for the old spirits of the land. In modern literature, the hidden folk have taken new forms, sometimes tragic, sometimes mischievous, always mysterious. In tourism, they are guides to the soul of the North, drawing curious minds toward ancient valleys and forgotten trails. In art and architecture, you'll find their influence in organic shapes, grassy rooftops, and homes that curve with the land rather than conquer it. And yet, they are not mascots. They are not mere fantasy. Ask an old farmer in the countryside why he still leaves a bit of bread on the stone wall. Ask a child why they never walk alone near the hill behind their school. You may not get a scientific answer, but you'll get something more human, because it's better to be kind, because it's better to show respect. Are the hidden folk real? That depends on what real means. Do they walk our cities in daylight, shake our hands, leave footprints in snow? No. No, but are they real in the stories we still tell? In the caution passed from grandmothers to grandchildren? In the silent pause before disturbing a moss-covered rock? In the hush that falls when twilight comes and the winds begin to sing? Absolutely. The hidden folk live on, not just in hills and stones, but in us. In memory, in reverence, in the quiet belief that the world holds more mystery than we can ever truly understand. The Underjordiske are more than myth. They are more than shadows in the mist or whispers beneath the earth. They are memory. They are presence. They are the quiet guardians of a forgotten way of seeing the world. A world where every stone had a name. Every tree is spirit, and every action, every footstep, every word, carried weight, not because someone was watching, but because something always was. They remind us of a time when humans lived not above nature, but within it, when people moved through the world with humility, when the invisible was not dismissed, but respected. In every wind that rustles through the birch, the hidden folk still stir. We may no longer leave milk on our doorsteps. We may pave roads and build cities, but the land remembers, and somewhere beneath it, so do they. Are they watching? Perhaps. Are they waiting? Always. Not for worship, not for fear, but for reverence, for the moment we pause. And remember that the world is older, deeper, and more alive than we often allow ourselves to believe. The hidden folk are not gone. They are simply hidden. And those who listen, truly listen, might still hear their footsteps in the frost, their songs in the trees, their stories in the stones. They remain silent, patient, watching, hidden, but never forgotten.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.